Good. Hi, it's Eric, and it's time for our video conversation this week. In Washington this week, we hosted the governor from Minnesota as a part of the Minnesota delegation getting together bipartisanly, working together on health care, which is very important. And we're trying to follow up on the governor's request for the state of Minnesota to be granted a waiver from the federal government for a reinsurance program that was passed in the legislature that will help lower premium costs for Minnesotans across the board. So we're working together along that area. Now let's get to the questions. Actually, the first is an email we took from Michael in Mound, who writes in, Congressman Paulson, I urge you to support H.R. 2200. I firmly believe in the dignity of the human person, and this belief calls on me to protect the most vulnerable, including victims of human trafficking. H.R. 2200 is important as it reauthorizes the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, providing service provisions that will aid victims. Supporting this legislation will ensure that our nation's efforts to eradicate human trafficking and assist human trafficking victims continues. Thank you very much. Michael. Of course, unfortunately, during the last few weeks, we've learned even in a state like Minnesota, we have once again seen the devastating impact that human trafficking has had in our own state. It was just learned earlier this week that 19 individuals were arrested, and we rescued 11 different trafficking victims, including minors, unfortunately, once again. The good news is that this week the House did take action, again bipartisanly, passing 3 more additional anti-human trafficking bills, these including the reauthorization of H.R. 2200. This now brings a total of 16 different bills that we've passed. Many of these initiatives I have personally worked on and will continue to lead on to making sure that we work on eradicating the entire scourge of human trafficking. Next up is another email that comes in from Deb in Bloomington, who writes in, as a small business owner, I am urging you to make small business expensing permanent. Small business expensing reduces tax complexity, which allows me to spend more time focused on growing my business. Every year for over a decade, Congress has extended this important policy, but only on a short-term and often retroactive basis. We're asking you to stop delaying and get this done permanently. Thanks, Deb. Deb, actually, I completely agree, and you'll be happy to know that that is one of the major provisions of the tax reform initiative that is starting to move forward in the House of Representatives. Having expensing for small businesses, you can plan with certainty, predictability, writing off your capital equipment for new investments in that area is so important. That's investments in software, investments in machinery, investments in new plant operations. We're actually proposing to do 100% expensing for this category. That debate is going to continue as a part of the broader goal of tax reform, which is about growing our economy, boosting paychecks, and having a simpler code to making sure that we also are creating more jobs in our small business community. Thanks for joining us as part of the conversation this week. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. Continue to reach out anytime on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or of course on the website at paulson.house.gov.